To get ready for testing, we're going to be doing a bunch of chapters in the next 3 weeks, kind of skipping around just to get them ready. So for this week, we're going to start with chapter 25 and 26, possibly 27, but the first lesson has to do with integers, and that is positive and negative numbers. We'll start off with opposites. We have 3, and the opposite of 3 would be negative 3. We have negative 5, and the opposite of negative 5 would be 5. So the opposite of a positive is a negative. Opposite of a negative is a positive. Next is absolute value. Absolute value is the distance of a number from 0 on a number line. So here we have negative 4 and we have positive 4. The absolute value of both of those numbers is 4 because they are 4 units from 0. So even though that's a negative 4, the absolute value is 4 because it is positively 4 spaces away from 0. Same with negative 8. Negative 8, the absolute value of negative 8 is 8 because it is 8 spaces away from 0. And same with positive 8. Positive 8 is, the absolute value of positive 8 is 8 because it is 8 units away from 0. So that's what absolute value is. These notes the kids will be getting, but it talks about it right here. Negative 4, the absolute value is 4. Positive 4, the absolute value is 4. So when we add integers, we like to think of party and war. We think of party if the numbers have the same sign, meaning we have 2 positive numbers or 2 negative numbers, it's a party. We add and keep the sign. So if we're adding 2 positive numbers, we just add them and that's it. If we're adding 2 negative numbers, we add them and put the negative sign. So here we have 2 plus 3. Those are both positive numbers. So we have a party, we bring them together, and we get 5. 4 plus 2, they're the same sign, they're both positive. Add those together, we get 6. Negative 6 plus negative 2. Again, the signs are the same. We got a negative 6 and a negative 2. So we're going to add those 2 numbers together, and we're going to get 8. But it's negative 8 because we keep the sign. Same thing with negative 3 plus negative 7. 3 plus 7 is 10. And since they're both negative numbers, we're going to keep the sign and make it a negative 10. So 2 plus 3 equals 5. 4 plus 2 equals 6. Negative 6 plus negative 2 equals negative 8. And negative 3 plus negative 7 is negative 10. Again, if they're the same sign, we just add them and keep the sign. Okay, when we're adding numbers with different signs, we consider that them having a war. If the numbers have different signs, it's a war. You subtract the 2 numbers and keep the sign of the bigger number. So here, all 4 of these problems, the numbers do not have the same signs. We have a negative and a positive, or a positive and a negative. So when they're different signs, we subtract. It doesn't matter what numbers they are. 3 minus 2. 3 minus 2 is 1, and you keep the sign of the bigger number. 3 is bigger than 2, so we're going to keep the negative sign. That's going to be negative 1. Here we got 7 plus negative 4. Again, that's a positive number. Add it to a negative number. And I tell them to think of money. If you have $7 and you're going to take away $4, you're going to be left with $3. And that's your answer is 3 because 7 is the bigger number. We don't want to make that negative because 7 is bigger than 4. So here we got 6 plus negative 2. Again, if you have $6 and you have to take away $2, you're going to be left with $4. And again, we keep the sign of the bigger number, which is a positive. Now the positive numbers are not going to have a plus sign next to them. If you don't see a sign next to it, that means it's a positive number. It will only have a sign if it's negative. Here we got negative 9 plus 3. Let's say you are short $9. You owe somebody $9 and you add 3, you give them $3. Now you only owe them 6. So 9 minus 3 is 6, and you keep the sign of the bigger number. So negative 6. If you have a negative 3 plus 7, you still take 3 from 7. I know it doesn't look right, but this is how integers work. So you have negative 3 plus 7. Again, let's say you owe somebody $3, or you're short $3 and somebody gives you 7. Well, now you're going to have 4, and it's going to be a positive 4 because 7 is bigger than 3, so we keep the sign of the bigger number. So 7 minus 3 is 4, and it's going to be a positive 4. So here's page 227 from their homework. They have these circles and squares that they'll sometimes use. I don't believe they'll be using this on the test, but if they do, the circles show negative numbers and the squares show positive. So number 1 would just be 3 plus negative 1. And of course, it's a war, so we're going to subtract 3 minus 2. 3 minus 1 is 2. And we keep the sign of the bigger number, which is 3. Down here, we're going to have 4 squares plus negative 3, because the circles are negative. 4 minus 3 is 1, and we keep the sign of the bigger number, which is 4. Looking at some of the smaller problems down here. Number 6, we have negative 7 plus negative 5. It's a party because they're the same, have the same sign, so we're going to add 7 plus 5, and we're going to keep the sign, so it's negative 12. Then we're going to have number 10. We got negative 11 plus 6. And in the homework, it looks like they are having the numbers with the positive, they have a plus sign next to it, but that won't always be the case. So 11 plus 6, it's a war because they have different signs, so it's actually going to be 11 minus 6, which is 5, and we keep the sign of the bigger number. So 11 is bigger than 6, so we're going to make this a negative 5. And that was number 10. Another thing that might help is a number line. That we have a number line in the classroom, which will not be there when they take their STAR test. So for example, we have number 1, negative 2 plus 5. So we can find negative 2 in the number line. And if we're going to add 5, we're going to go 5 to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So our answer would be 3. So negative 2 plus 5. Again, they're different numbers, so it's a war. So 5 minus 2 is 3. And you keep the sign of the bigger number, which is 5, and you get 3. And the number line, if they would like, they can draw their own when they're taking the test or on their STAR test, but just remembering the party and war method should be enough. Number 8, we have negative 10 plus 7. So we have different signs, so it's a war. So it's going to be 10 minus 7 is 3. And we keep the sign of the bigger number, which is 10. So it's negative 3. Again, number lines sometimes might only go up to 10. If they're bigger numbers, they don't have to extend it or just draw their own. But if we start out over here at negative 10, would be somewhere over there. And you would go 7 places to your right until you got to your answer. And then down here you have 2 problems to do to see which ones are greater than, less than, or equal to. So number 10, we have negative 3 plus negative 2. A negative plus a negative. They have the same sign, so we're just going to add them together. So 3 plus 2 is going to be negative 5, because we keep the sign. And then we have negative 7 plus 2. Different signs, so it's a war, and we subtract. So 7 minus 2 is 5. And we keep the sign of the bigger number, which is 7. So Number 10 would be equal. Another thing they're going to have to know is putting these numbers in order. -6, 3, 5, -4, 0, and -2. Well, negative numbers are always going to be to the left of a 0. Positive are going to be to the right. So the smaller the negative number is, the closer to 0 it is. So if we want to do this from the least to the greatest, we're going to start with -6, because that's the smallest number. Next would be -4, followed by -2, followed by 0, then 3, and then 5. So we went from smallest to biggest. Because -6 is smaller than -4, -4 is smaller than -2. Then we have 0, then we got 3 and 5. So 0 is bigger than all these numbers over here. And I tell the kids, would you rather have 0 money, not have any money at all, or would you rather owe people $2 or $4 or $6? It's good to have money, but if you don't owe any money, then it's good to not have any at all and not worry about having to pay people back. So that's what I kind of instill in them, using things they're going to use in life, and about money. So having not having any money, or having $3 or $5, or being short in your bank account, -2, 4, 6, or 10. Again, here's one to put from least to greatest, and they got to make sure that they read the instructions, because sometimes it'll say change from greatest to least. So this one, we're going to go from least, the smallest, to the greatest. So the smallest number here is going to be -3, followed by -2, followed by 0. Then we got 1, 3, 5. This set of numbers, we will put these from greatest to least. The biggest number to the smallest number. So the biggest number here is going to be 16. Followed by, actually I made a mistake, it's going to be 19. Followed by 16. Then 3, 0, -1, -4, -22. So this would be from least, or from greatest to least, biggest to smallest.